we ask now that you get your candles ready for lighting as we tell the stories of the Silent Night. Father Joseph Moore sat at the old organ, his fingers stretched over the keys, forming the notes of a chord. He took a deep breath and pressed down. Nothing. He lifted his fingers and tried again. Silence echoed through the church. Father Joseph shook his head. It was no use. The pipes were rusted, the bellows mildewed. The organ had been wheezing and growing quieter for months, and Father Joseph had been hoping it would hold together until the organ builder arrived in the spring to repair it. But now, on December 23rd, 1818, the organ had finally given out at St. Nicholas Church, and St. Nicholas Church would have no music for Christmas. Father Joseph sighed. Maybe a brisk walk would make him feel better. He pulled on his overcoat and stepped out into the night, his white breath puffed in before him. Moonlight sparkled off the snow-crusted trees and the houses in the village of Oberndorf. Father Joseph crunched through the snowy streets to the edge of the little Austrian town, and climbed the path leading up the mountain. From high above Oberndorf, Father Joseph watched the Salzach River ripple past St. Nicholas Church. He looked over the Austrian Alps. Stars shone in the still and silent night. Silent Night, of course. Silent Night. He had written a poem a few years ago when he had first become a priest, and he gave it that very title, Silent Night. Father Joseph scrambled down the mountain. Suddenly he knew how to bring music to his church. The next morning, Father Joseph set out on another walk. This time he knew where he was going. This time he carried his poem, and he knew exactly where to go, to see his friend Franz Gruber, the organist at St. Nicholas. Franz Gruber was surprised to see the priest so far from home on Christmas Eve, and even more surprised when Father Joseph handed him the poem. That night, Father Joseph and Franz Gruber stood at the altar of St. Nicholas Church. Father Joseph held his guitar. He could see the members of the congregation give each other puzzled looks. They'd never heard a guitar played in church before, and certainly not during midnight mass on Christmas Eve, the holiest night of the year. Father Joseph picked out a few notes on the guitar, and he and Franz Gruber began to sing. Their two voices rang out, echoing off the rafters. Franz Gruber's melody matched the simplicity and honesty of Father Joseph's words. Sides of the battlefield somewhere in France were enduring a dark and frozen Christmas Eve night. World War I eventually took the lives of more than 10 million people. But it is doubtless that the mostly young men on that Christmas Eve were contemplating much more than beyond their longings for home and warmth and family. When soldiers on the German side placed candles on a small Christmas tree and raised them above the trenches, it touched the hearts of their enemies. These men, thousands of them on both sides, spontaneously started to sing the carols of Christmas. What began in moments became the legendary Christmas truce. Weapons were put down, Men ventured from their fortifications and gathered in no man's land to make note of the seasons together. They exchanged small gifts after agreeing to a truce that they could celebrate the season. And so for a short time, no shots were fired. The following day, men who only hours before fought fiercely now stood side by side and buried their dead. Together with heads uncovered, they held a service to memorialize their fallen comrades before departing for another frozen nights in the trenches. A solitary voice began to sing Silent Night in French. He was joined by another voice, this one singing in German, the words of the hymn, beloved by all. Together, they contemplated heavenly peace. And that is what Christmas is all about.
Shepherds quake, shepherds quake at the sight, glorious stream from heaven above, heavenly hosts sing hallelujah, Christ the Savior is born. Christ the Savior is born. Would you stand? Lift your candles and celebrate tonight when Jesus came into this world, brought light to a land of darkness and hope to a world filled with desperation. Silent night, holy night, Son of God.